More damning news from the U.S. Forest Service on the largest fire in New Mexico history. The Calf Canyon fire, which merged with the Hermit's Peak fire, as you know, was also started by the remnants of a controlled burn. But unlike Hermit's Peak, this burn was carried out in January and apparently stayed dormant, reigniting in April. It's known as a sleeper fire. We'll talk about that in a quick second. Welcome back to our Line Opinion panelists. We spent the last few weeks talking about pushing prescribed burns earlier into the year, into months like January. And Sophie, how does this revelation change that thought process? Because this was a very separate situation from a time of year problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think it highlights the complexity of the prescribed burn programs. And it's you know, not to be too sort of lighthearted about this, but you started by talking about controlled burns. And I think we have to kind of reach an agreement that we're not going to call them that anymore.
Right.
Because we have now too many examples of how they have gotten out of control in our state and in our region. But I think, you know, we have a lot of moving pieces happening here. It's not just, and I think some of the coverage on the burns has really highlighted this, it's not just a matter of how these prescribed burns are set, when they're set. We have the changing situation with climate change. We have a changing ecosystem here that we're having, I think professionals are having to constantly track what's growing where. I'm reminded as well of like the surprise that apparently was experienced with one of these prescribed burns over the quantity of wind. So, you know, I think that there's not really a very simple solution here. Certainly this issue highlights the need for even more resources put into, you know, maintaining our ecosystem and, you know, really continuing to look at and put money into thinning burns, et cetera, so that this stuff doesn't continue to get out of hand. And it's tough because I just said, like, you know, continue to do burns, and at the same time we're talking about the problem with burns.
You know, Algernon, to make Sophie's point, that sleeper fire, basically that pile of dormant stuff, it was there under 3 winter storms. And then they got a report of a pile, you know, of smoke in the area, and the fire resumed. The crews came in, responded, and it resumed 10 days later and breached those containment lines. A very difficult situation, and so I'm curious, you know, what more can be possibly done here after these kind of, you know, situations come up and this kind of complexity?
I as a reporter, I have lots of questions. I have lots of questions about how decisions about prescribed burns are made in response to changing conditions related to climate change and just the fuel moisture levels that are astronomically low. Astronomically is not the right word. The opposite of astronomically, very low. There was a meeting. I was at a public meeting in Mesilla following a brush fire that broke out in the Mesilla Valley Bosque State Park back in April. And the fire chief said that fuel moisture levels in our forests are lower than he's ever seen. And he commented that the timber in our forests across New Mexico is drier than what you would buy as lumber at Home Depot.
Wow.
I mean, it's just, if you drive on Interstate 10 through southern New Mexico, there are these big electronic signs begging motorists not to flick their cigarette butts out because that is all it takes. And so in these conditions, you know, how was the Forest Service making decisions and adjustments about burns? Because just because a pile of wood is sitting there and it gets a little bit of snow on it, a little bit of precipitation, does not mean that it has been soddened or extinguished.
Yep. You know, Senator, we've got a potential here for significant flash flooding from monsoon season coming up here. Again, another difficult question, what does forest crews need to do to start focusing on preventing that kind of disaster? Because that's going to cost a lot of money to make sure we're okay on that.
Well, it goes back to the image that comes to mind for me is the chicken or the egg. Come on, we wouldn't have this flooding issue if we hadn't had the fire. And that sleeper fire, I was reading the description from one of the forest experts about what happened and the sequence of it and everything. And I'm going, wait a minute. Smokey Bear taught me how you extinguished a campfire 100 years ago.
That's
maybe
right.
not quite that long, but I'm just going, these are the experts. Why on earth would there be such a thing as a sleeper fire? And the materials they were, part of it goes back for me to why are we still not allowed to thin our forests, get out some of the underbrush? Because other stories showed us that the homes, particularly in the Ruidoso area, that had cleared X squares of land out a distance from their homes, are many of the homes that were not burned. So, and I'm going, okay, if that works there, then wouldn't it work every place else?
That's a good point. Let me jump in here real quick. I want to get something in with Sophie before we run out of time real quick. Hey, Sophie, in a recent gubernatorial debate for the Republican candidates fighting for the party's nomination, the candidates universally agreed this is just a forest management issue, and Mark Ronchetti, a career television meteorologist, actually said the majority state has seen above average precipitation the last year, which is not true. In fact, the state is moving into a second year of almost universal and historic drought.
Are you saying that you don't believe the weatherman?
Well, weathermen being what they are, how damaging is it, that kind of rhetoric, to actually dealing with what we know is a major issue for our state as we continue to warm, as you were saying earlier?
I think that unfortunately, and I don't think I'll surprise anybody on this panel or watching from home, so much of what we at one time would have just said is science has been politicized.
Right.
And, people seem to feel free with being able to develop their own version of fact. And so, is it damaging? Yeah, especially if it means that we spend the next couple of decades arguing over whether it should be the Republican position or the Democratic position, which one, or the science the science position somewhere in there as well. This politicization, it shouldn't be reaching into this kind of situation, but of course it does.
It does, doesn't it? Thanks again to our line panel as always this week. Be sure to let us know what you think about any of the topics we covered on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram pages.